Great. So look, thank you very much for taking part in the Business Spotlight series, Tom. I'm going to hand over to you to introduce yourself and your company and what you do.
Thanks very much, Ed, and thank you for having me on. My name is Tom Sears. I'm the Managing Director of KinseySears, and we're an organisation that primarily works in the sports industry, but we work in other sectors as well. My background is in the sports industry. I've spent 25 years working for various sports organisations, both here in the UK, in Australasia, in Africa, in Europe as well, up to CEO level. And now with KinseySears, we help sports organisations in terms of their strategic development. That's leadership development, executive coaching. We also do some talent sourcing and recruitment as well through executive search. But now we're getting more and more requests to work in other sectors because the parallels between sport and business are quite prevalent. Things like seeking high performance, talent identification, coaching, change management, crisis management, all that sort of thing. So there's lots of similarities, and business is more and more keen to learn from the sports sector. So we work across industries such as banking, tech industries, pharma. So it's pretty diverse what we do.
Excellent. And how long have you done that for?
In terms of KinseySears, we're 6 years old now, and we've grown fairly steadily. Obviously, the pandemic was an interesting time, and we took that as an opportunity to take stock about where we wanted to go as an organisation and refocus and provide a bit of clarity. But 6 years for KinseySears, but as I say, 25 years in the sports industry in various leadership roles.
Excellent. And tell me a bit more about sort of how you do it. So obviously you mentioned various different services you do. So tell me a bit about how you actually do it.
Yeah, in terms of the strategic development, we're often asked by clients to have a look at where they are. In terms of a lot of them will have a strategic plan, but most won't have a people strategy. That's one of the key things that we work on. People are every organisation's key asset, or they're also their key risk as well. So we look at a 7-stage framework that we've developed over the years that looks at everything from recruitment, induction to striving for high performance, succession planning, and so on. That can include executive search and recruitment, as I've alluded to. That can include things like leadership development programs that we do. We do individual and group coaching sessions. So it's pretty diverse, the services that we offer, but we try to form a true partnership with our organisation. So we've worked with people like FIFA, the FA in sport. We've worked with tech companies, private banks. So it really is fairly broad.
Obviously, you mentioned recruitment there, which is a sort of hot topic for many other employers at the moment. How are you finding that just now?
It's an interesting market at the moment. So we tend to focus on senior executive positions. We do some high performance roles in sport as well, and we do a lot of board work. More and more people are looking at NED roles as a professional development opportunity, as well as a potential future career, that eclectic portfolio career option. In terms of high performance roles, there's always a good source of candidates there. Where we see the interesting issues is in the executive roles, because the market has changed undoubtedly. Employers need to be more cognizant of how people want to work in terms of hybrid models and the balance, the work-life balance, which I think is more and more important than perhaps we saw pre-pandemic. But the market's fairly busy at the moment. We do roles internationally. We've got assignments in Brazil at the moment. We've got assignments in Morocco, in Dubai, as well as the UK. So it's still a fairly buoyant market, and you can still find those high quality candidates. I think one of the things that sets us apart from other executive search firms is that whenever we place somebody, we offer 12 months executive coaching support to every placed candidate, because obviously it's in our interest that that candidate succeeds, but it's also very important for the individual to feel supported, and the organisation, that we don't just put a body in a chair behind a desk and then wave goodbye. It's a bit more holistic than that in terms of what we do.
Excellent. That sounds really interesting, and sounds like a good idea. I would always back up the idea of coaching. So you also mentioned there the pandemic and COVID. Was there any impact of COVID on your business?
Yeah, and initially, certainly on the recruitment side, I think it was a shock to everybody, and we had assignments pulled literally when we were going out to offer to candidates, and for probably about 6 or 7 months, it was very quiet on all fronts, really. But then from about the August onwards, we started getting very busy again as organisations took stock of um, which elements of their business performed well, which individuals and which teams performed well under that crisis situation, and others looked at where they could improve, and perhaps they didn't have the people that they needed at a leadership level. So it started getting very busy again. But we also took time as a business to look at how we wanted to operate. We did some more professional development ourselves, so took more training to improve our coaching offer. And we looked at our leadership development programs in terms of how we can really add value to an organization and identify their next gen leaders, because developing that pipeline of talent, that succession planning, while it's an initial cost in terms of the program, the potential savings are enormous, and the benefits, because you get improved individual and team performance, you get a loyal and engaged workforce, and you identifying that next cab off the rank, if you like, if one of your leadership team does leave. And it's a lot easier to promote from within and a lot more efficient in terms of cost and that retention of IP than sourcing somebody from outside.
Yeah, no, makes sense. Makes sense. Interesting. And are you sort of continuing that review now after the pandemic of the business and sort of seeing where you need to go to next?
Yeah, we refer to it as permanent beta mindset. So we're always looking at how we can improve and do things better in every aspect of our business. And it's what we challenge people to do on our leadership programs and our coaching. So if we didn't do it ourselves, it would be, a bit amiss. So certainly, yeah, we're always analysing how we can improve. We seek feedback in every assignment that we do, whether that's coaching, whether that's leadership programs, whether that's recruitment, to make sure that we're fully aware of how we're performing and whether we can improve in certain areas.
Excellent. That was good to hear. No offense to decorators, for example, but I've had many decorators says, "Oh, yeah, my house is a mess." So we're all just young people, so good to hear. So in terms of the future, what do you think that looks like, and what would you see as the main challenges moving forwards?
In terms of where we're going, we're seeing more and more demand for that leadership program. So, for example, we're just working on a 6-month program for a high-profile sports organisation, looking at 15 of their next-gen leaders. And I think more and more organisations are now cognizant of the fact they need to invest in their people. And we think we're pretty well placed with our combination of sports industry background, but also our executive coaching expertise as well, right across various sectors. So I think that's where organisations are going to go. I think for us as an organisation, it will be a challenge to communicate how we can bring our sports industry expertise and make that relevant to more organisations outside the sports sector. But I think we're making good headway there.
Excellent. And what would you say has been your biggest learning as a business owner?
I think you learn every day, don't you? Resilience is a much used word, but you can't overemphasize how important it is. So when you're starting out, you're waiting for the next assignment, the next client to come through the door. Every proposal that isn't accepted is a bit of a blow, but it's just about keeping going and learning and feedback. Feedback is your friend. Constantly evaluate where you are, how you can do things slightly different, analyze what else is out there in the market, and find that point of difference. And that's something we're always searching for.
Yeah, definitely agree very much with that. Good way to look at it. And a similar question, slightly different. What advice should you have for your 18-year-old self?
I think looking back, it would be to invest more time in developing myself. So I didn't really find what I wanted to do until I was probably mid-20s. I went from various jobs, various sectors, probably put too much emphasis on things outside of my professional career. I was playing a lot of rugby and cricket in those days. But yeah, I think probably more once I'd started on my career path in the sports industry would be to invest more in developing myself. There weren't really the opportunities. I'm talking about probably the sort of mid to late 90s, which is a lifetime ago. but there weren't as many development opportunities as there is now. But I would say to anybody coming through is there's so many opportunities out there, both formal and informal, to learn about whatever sector you're in, about how business works, about how you can improve. Set aside an hour or two every week and build that into your weekly routine to just spend 2 hours learning something new or developing yourself or practicing some skills that you have.
Yeah, great. And what do you find inspiring now?
I think it's the talent that we work with that I find really inspiring. I do a fair bit of tutoring on executive education programs and degree programs, and the constant level of talent that we encounter, the different thinking, the way people are so passionate about what they do and want to make a difference. That's what inspires me and keeps me challenging myself to make sure that I'm improving as somebody who's coaching and tutoring on these sorts of programs.
Excellent. And look, the final thing, any offers or sort of latest news that you'd like to mention about your business to our audience?
No special offers really, but we always provide bespoke solutions to any client, and we're always delighted to have a conversation, whether it's sports sector or completely different sector, to look at what the objectives are of any given body or an individual, and look at how we can add value. So if anybody's interested in a conversation, we're always happy to meet and discuss what we could do and whether there's some merit in working together.
Perfect. Great. Well, nice way to round it off. And thank you very much, Tom. It's great to hear your thoughts and learn about your business, which is really interesting. And thank you for taking part.
Thanks very much, Ed. Really enjoyed it.